All right, everyone. So we have another day of absolute chaos and insanity in Raid Shadow Legends. And while I normally planned to talk about the Valentine's Fusion today, mostly, I actually have to change my plans a little bit. We do have the new Valentine's Fusion info, including the actual champions that it involves, the Legendary Fusion champion itself, the timetable that we usually get when it comes to these fusions, giving us an outline of the events. And I will get into that in detail later on in the video. But I wanted to start off with an important public service announcement, disclaimer, whatever you want to call it, because this is a major issue that I have known a lot of people now to be struggling with in Raid. There has not only been an insane amount of maintenance and downtime just constantly over the last few days, the server being laggy, crashing, lag glitches, you name it, it's on the list most likely. But I want to talk about this account ban issue that has been going on, because it's actually quite a bit worse than what it might seem at first glance. Now, there have been a lot of people that have been randomly getting banned in Raid Shadow Legends for apparently no reason, and of course it's been confirmed that it is just a bug, and they don't actually know what is causing it. In fact, Cirilla ended up posting this in the Discord earlier, talking about the actual ban issue. Guys, we unbanned most of the players whose accounts were blocked. Here is the most important info that you should know. We returned the champions that have been summoned from 12 a.m. to the 12th until the moment that your accounts are banned. We returned the contents of the offers that you bought over this period of time, except battle passes and raid passes. We will return those two a little later. We gave the compensation the same to everyone, and I have been getting reports that the compensation for players who have been struggling with this issue has been 1 Sacred Shard and 10 million silver. Now, that might seem really crazy, but I'm going to get into a little bit more detail about this really insane ban problem in a little bit, and you guys will understand that that 1 Sacred Shard and 10 million silver might not actually seem as great as it actually is. Let's see. Some of the items are listed as compensation in your inbox, but they are actually what you purchased. If you have not received the compensation, please open a ticket with our support team and let us know. Bans may still be happening until we find the cause and eliminate it. That's really important, which is another reason why I wanted to talk about this in the video today, is because this is an ongoing issue. It is not solved, and a lot of the people who have been struggling with this are also reporting that there are still people who are randomly getting banned and no longer have access to their account in Raid Shadow Legends until it's been solved by the support. And this is something that's been taking multiple days, so if you do end up struggling with this issue and it affects your account, you're not going to be able to log in and play over the next couple of days until they actually fix your account specifically. Not really too big of a deal going on, considering how much downtime and maintenance we've had, but still, nonetheless, you won't have any access to your account while they are working on it. Guys, just to clarify, we only sent the compensation to the accounts that were banned, and which we have unbanned now. We will send the compensation for the server problems to all the players that logged in the last 3 days tomorrow, and I'll talk about that in a minute here, because we did actually get that compensation as well. But speaking of the bans, so the reason why this is really bad is because all the people who have been affected by this have completely lost all progress on their accounts until a certain rollback period. So what Plarium actually had to do is, because this issue is something that they haven't really dealt with before, they actually weren't able to resolve it in a way where people were able to keep a lot of the progress that they had on their account. So they had to roll it back to a certain period of time, and any progress that you ended up making, except for the things that they mentioned in this disclaimer post here, like purchases and summons and whatnot, was completely lost. So people who got really good artifacts from, dungeon runs, people who, worked on progress missions or completed quests or did a bunch of stuff in game, they worked on events, people who had a bunch of points in like tournaments. If you had a bunch of points in tournaments and then you suffered with this account ban issue, you actually ended up losing your progress on the tournament leaderboards as well. So it's actually a really major issue, and this is still ongoing. So, you are at risk. Now, people might be wondering, well, what can I do to completely avoid this? And I've been gathering some information from people who have been affected by this, and Plarium still does not know 100% what is causing this. But I've heard a lot of reports that this issue has to do with people who are making in-game purchases somehow. Now, this is important. I want to ask you guys, if your account has been banned and if you are suffering with this issue and you have not made any kind of purchases in Raid Shadow Legends anytime recently, please let me know in the comment section. But so far, everyone that I've talked with that has suffered with this has made some type of in-game purchase lately. So that's the best info that I have at the moment. Besides that, the only other way to really completely avoid this is honestly to just be really careful. And honestly, now is a great time to take a bit of a breather and maybe even a bit of a break from Raid Shadow Legends. I know that sounds crazy considering we have an insane fusion event that is going on right now. And honestly, I really think Plarium, I hate to say it because, you know, Plarium is very well known for this, but I don't think it would have been a bad idea for them to either delay the fusion or extend the duration of all the events. Making this fusion, you know, a lot of these events last for just a couple of days, and the Giant Champion Training Tournament only lasts for 10 days. With the ridiculous amount of downtime and issues that we have in Raid Shadow Legends, now people are going to be scared because people are getting banned and losing progress. It's just a mess. And, you know, the way that they have implemented the fusion right now without kind of adapting to the insanity that's going on is something that also needs to be looked at. So, Plarium, if you listen to this, please do something. Either extend the overall fusion, extend the events, you know, do something along those lines because, you know, the servers have been absolutely crazy and now it's just been not the best time to be playing Raid Shadow Legends. So, I wanted to get into that in some detail because it's important, and I know personally several people who have been affected by this, so I thought that you guys should absolutely be aware and be alert. Now, with that being said, let's move into that compensation that everybody got because Sodarilla also made this announcement in the Discord server just a few minutes ago. Guys, a quick summary. We will give the compensation for the recent problems today. It will include the Valentine's gift as well. Now, speaking of this, it is in your mailbox. If you guys take a look, you guys should see the compensation right here at the top. So we've got a 5-star chicken, a void shard, a 1-day experience boost, and 1,000 energy. Now, keep in mind, this isn't just the compensation for the maintenance and downtime. This is also our supposed Valentine's gift from Plarium, and it's both of those things kind of wrapped into one. Definitely make sure that you guys claim this. I know this is a mistake that I've made multiple times accidentally. This stuff only lasts in your mailbox for a couple of days. It can be very easy to just accidentally forget about it. So absolutely make sure you guys claim this stuff as soon as you possibly can. So that should be there. Now, we are working on unbanning the accounts that are still banned, and once again, it is an ongoing issue, so they're still not 100% aware of what's causing it, and there is still possibilities that people still experience this problem. We are working on returning purchased battle passes and raid passes to the players whose accounts were banned. We are working on fixing the missing offers of empty clan windows for the same players, and of course, this is something that I talked about in the last couple of videos, which I am very interested in more information about. We are also update you regarding the changed amount of experience received with activated raid passes in a little later today. So that's definitely something that I look forward to. Lots of stuff going on. The Discord with announcements, downtime maintenance has been blowing up. The game's just overall been very laggy. And once again, you know, now is not the worst time to take a bit of a break, despite the fact that there is a lot of stuff going on. The game is, I would say, borderline, barely playable. I think a lot of people would even argue unplayable at this point. So now, with that being said, though, I do want to briefly talk about some of the actual events and the fusion, because we do have more info about the fusion, including the actual champions themselves. We have the overview of the events and the kind of little roadmap of what events give what champions and what dates those events are going to run. Now, if we go to the actual portal, you guys will see here that we do have the fusion 2 weeks, 2 days, 7 hours, but a lot of the events only last for a couple days, of course. There's a giant champion training event that actually lasts for 10 days. And this champion training event is a 30,000 point champion training event, 10 days. That means that you need an average of about 3,000 points per day. And if you take a look at the rewards, very underwhelming, in my opinion. For 30,000 points, yes, you get champions that you're going to need for the fusion, but it just seems really shady. I hate when Plarium does this. It makes sense why they do it, of course. If you need champions for a fusion in order to complete the fusion, they're obviously not going to make the other rewards insanely good because you're going to need to do the fusion anyway, but it still doesn't look that great. So, you know, this is all the stuff that you get. When I first saw this, I was like, wait, is there more? Am I not scrolling down far enough? But nope, this is what you get for 30,000 points of champion training. And that is a lot of champion training right there. Now, we also have a Summon Rush event as well. Now, this is interesting because I saw this yesterday pop up, and there is an Apothecary as a reward from the Summon Rush. You need to get to 1,400 points, which is a still decent amount, but those of you guys who are newer to the game, those of you who are free to play, or you still don't have an Apothecary yet, this might be a decent opportunity in order to get one. If you don't actually summon on your Ancient Shards, I would recommend actually using as many Mystery Shards as you can for these Summon Rushes and save your Ancients, Voids, and Sacreds for things like double rate events. Now, the Summon Rush event, the rewards seem a little bit better, of course, but it's a summoning-related event, so, you know, that obviously makes sense why the rewards would be a little bit better. Lots of energy. You got that Apothecary, and you also have some chickens, a tome, and that stuff right there. The Summon Rush, of course, coincides with that double rates event for Sacred Shards, which is active, but if you guys are going to be summoning on this, always double check to make sure that you guys see this animation right here. Make sure that you go to the info section and you see here where it says Sacred Shards. It's highlighted 88%, 12%. That means that it's doubled. It's normally 94% for epics and 6% for legendaries. So that'll be going on for the next couple of days as well. So we also have a Spider Tournament, which just started up as well, which also has a champion that is going to be needed for the Fusion, Legendary Tome, which is, again, nice considering that the Dragon and Spider Tournament are both highly run dungeons, but they are offering Legendary Tomes right now as well. I don't know if that makes up for the ridiculousness of the 30,000 point champion training event, but, you know, it's still been a while since I've seen Legendary Tomes from those two dungeon events. Now, the actual Fusion champions themselves, there is one really big thing that I noticed that I wanted to mention with the actual summoning info and the events. And if you take a look, very similar to a lot of the Fusions, we've got 4 epics, of course, and then each of the epics needs 4 rares in order to fuse. No surprise with 16 new champions that they released, that pretty much most of the actual rare Fusion champions are new ones. Now, I don't know about most of them, but a good amount of them. The epics, of course, are a lot of them are also going to be new. But this time I noticed that there's no way to actually get the epic champions. You have to fuse the rares into the epics. A lot of the other Fusion events that we had, there was kind of like 2 options to go about it. You could either end up getting the rares and fuse into the epic, and then of course fuse the epics into the main legendary champion. But now you can't do that. You have to actually go for the rare champions, and then you have to fuse the rares to the epic and the epic to the legendary. You can't just skip that first step right there. There's no, like, you know, alternative methods. So, you know, really have to be on the lookout for the actual timetables for the events. If you miss out on even one of these champions, that's going to prevent you from being able to do the entire Fusion. So absolutely get yourself familiar with this. If you need to take, you know, 20, 30 minutes to plan this out yourself, if you do plan on going about the Fusion, absolutely going to be worth it. If you don't plan to go about the Fusion, maybe take a look at some of the non-legendary champions that might be good. You know, you've got that Apothecary, which is going to be great for newer players. I know that there's an epic in here as well that is absolutely amazing. Very, very strong new epic champion that honestly might even be just worth going for than ignoring the actual legendary champion itself. The one big one that I would be alert about is the Summon Rush 2. We have 2 Summon Rushes. We have the one that's going on right now with the double Sacred Shard, but we also have another one that's going to be coming out. So if you use absolutely all your resources on the current Summon Rush that we have, it's going to be very difficult for you to get this Reliquary Tender from that second Summon Rush. So either have another Reliquary Tender or plan for that second Summon Rush, or of course if you don't even plan on going for this Fusion, then you don't have to worry about it at all. But that's the big you know, kind of alert that popped out to me about the events in this Fusion. So the champion itself, if you take a look at him, his first skill is insane. Very strong auto attack. Honestly, I was impressed just by the auto attack right here. Attacks with enemy has a 75% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. Also has a 30% chance of granting an extra turn. You've got his other skill here. His second skill, attacks with enemy, decreases the target's max HP by 20%. That adds HP to this champion's own max HP. Attacks when enemy will ignore 75% of the target's defense, will also ignore unkillable and block damage buffs, grants an extra turn if this attack kills an enemy. And then his passive is unique in the sense that it kind of changes the way that you build his defenses, because what it does is decreases damage from a single enemy hit so that incoming damage will not exceed 50% of this champion's max HP from that hit. So, you know, you can't get one shot, for example, with this passive. Can occur once per enemy attack, grants an extra turn if this damage reduction occurs. So, you know, I think this passive is definitely something that could have some interesting implications in the game. Gonna, you know, take a little while for people to truly figure out exactly how to use this to its fullest potential, but, you know, definitely seems like a solid champion. Is a very, very good auto attack. We'll just kind of have to wait and see what people really figure out about this guy later on. Now, we've got that Apothecary, but we've also got some solid epic champions. I think it was it her? I think it is. This champion is very solid. Attacks that enemy has a 40% chance of placing a decreased attack debuff, and you also have places a 60% increased defense buff and a block debuff buff on all allies for 2 turns on her second skill with a 4-turn cooldown. So that's a pretty solid skill kit right there, just on an epic champion. So she might be worth going for, and then ignoring some of the other stuff. You know, this fusion is unique in the sense that it's not just the legendary champion that's going to be worth going after. It might even be worth just going after some of the other ones and maybe ignoring the legendary. Has a 25% chance of completely blocking incoming damage when this champion or their allies are attacked. Attacks once per turn and increases ally defense in all battles by 25%. Let's see here. Random debuff, transfer, heals an ally, fills the target's turn meter, places Veil, and revives a dead ally, fills their turn meter by 30%, places an unkillable buff on the target for 1 turn, and a continuous heal for 2 turns with ally speed in all battles by 15%. Pretty interesting right there. We have Azure, stun, increased speed, ally protection and shields, and stun. And then I don't think I actually looked at this first epic right here. The Skytouch Shaman. I know a lot of people have been talking about her artwork. Raid Shadow Legends is becoming slightly more lewd. This might be, you know, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing some of the other champions, but this is definitely one of the more lewd artworks that we've had. I don't even know if you could call it that, but for Raid Shadow Legends, it is. You know, this isn't an anime game where this this kind of stuff is more normal, if that makes sense. Attacks all enemies, heals by 15% of the damage inflicted if this champion has less than 50% HP. Boosts this champion's turn meter by 20% if this champion has 50% HP or higher. Removes all debuffs from all allies, then places Revive on Death buff and a block debuffs buff on all allies for 2 turns with a 4-turn cooldown. Damages this champion by 10% of their max HP at the start of each turn. Heals all allies except this champion equal to half the lost HP. Places a 30% decreased speed debuff on this champion for 1 turn at the start of each turn. Also has a 50% chance of placing a True Fear debuff on this champion. Damages this champion by their HP. That's, I don't know how to feel about that. Interesting skill kit for sure. This is a great skill, it seems like, but I don't know about this passive. Again, we'll just kind of have to figure out how people kind of put these champions to their full potential later on in the future. But man, have I thrown a ton of stuff at you guys in the video today. I'm going to leave it here for now. So thank you guys all so much for watching. More Raid Shadow Legends videos, news announcements, and all that fun stuff will be coming out in the future. So if you guys are interested in keeping up to date with all the new stuff, definitely keep an eye on the channel. Feel free to subscribe. It helps out. So thank you to all of you guys who have done that. If you wanted to, leaving a like means more than you can imagine as well. So thank you to those of you guys who do that. And more videos should be popping up on the screen right about now. Feel free to check them out in the Raid Shadow Legends playlist. And thanks to everyone for watching. Have a great day, everyone. And this is Salt of the Salty Guild, signing out.